Hi everyone, my name's Chant and welcome back to Planet Coaster. In today's episode, we're going to be taking a look at something Alice in Wonderland themed. Now this doesn't reflect any bigger project I am doing right now, it's just something I've always wanted to build in the game, something Alice in Wonderland themed. For this project, I took something directly from the Disney movie, where Alice is stuck in the White Rabbit's house. I think how it goes in the movie is she's following him, trying to figure out what he's late for, and he mistakes her for somebody called Mary Ann. And he tells her to go get his gloves, go get his gloves. So Alice wanders into his house and goes upstairs and tries to look for his gloves. In doing so, she opens a jar full of cookies that say, "Eat me," or "Try me," or "Take one." And she does. And after she eats one, she starts to grow, and grow. Until she's far too big for the house and she's stuck in it. The rabbit freaks out and he goes and finds the Dodo bird. And the Dodo bird's solution to getting Alice out of the house is to smoke her out with fire. Now, I did not add that last bit to this creation. I did not build a fire at the base of the house, but you sure could if you wanted to. I wanted to build this because I was talking to Pretzel and we were just talking about Alice in Wonderland projects, how he's got something in mind, how I've always wanted to create one. And in a way this helps to satisfy that urge to want to build an entire Alice in Wonderland creation. And maybe one day I still will. And it's something I'm still interested in despite having built a small piece. The house that I am painstakingly creating is supposed to look like the one in the Disney animated film. White Rabbit's house is white with a gray stone bottom with pink trim kind of everywhere with a thatched roof. And all these materials are in the game conveniently, so I thought it would be easy to recreate his house. It wasn't as easy as I thought it would be because I decided to build it at odd angles. And initially I built the entire house far too big for the kind of prop I was going for. So the house shrinks in size by about half. And that created a lot of problems for me. I had to change a lot of things to make it work. One of the things I really wanted to add into this creation was the windows being open, you can see Alice's face, and I wanted her eyes to kind of shift back and forth, kind of like a "what do I do now" kind of look. The initial item I used to make her eyes shift back and forth, kind of in crazy motions that kind of cross sometimes because I hadn't triggered them yet. Couldn't use that in the end because the pieces were far too big when the house shrunk by half. So I had to find something else to make her eyes shift back and forth, and I do succeed in that, and I'm satisfied with what I ended up with. As with a lot of my other projects, I am using the temple pieces to build the house walls and to build Alice herself. Overall, the house design is very simple and was easy to pattern. Like I said, the only complication with the house was that I built it 2 times too big and had to shrink it after I had already kind of built stuff and placed stuff properly. So I had to adjust a number of things. I did not build this on a perfect grid, so since the roof pieces are mostly on grids, I had a little trouble fitting the roof on. The roof pieces also were really big. They were far too big for this little house, so I had to use some of the custom pieces, the ones off grid, as well as 1 or 2 that were on grid, but they were fairly hidden anyway. All in all, I'm pleased with the roof. I think it's a great representation of Disney's animated version of Alice in Wonderland for the White Rabbit's house. You'll see that I copy-pasted it several times over, and that's because if I mess up, I can just go back to the previous version, and there's not a lot of work or rework to do. I do this with almost all of my creations. I think Mad Hatter is my favorite character in Alice in Wonderland. I think he's probably a lot of people's favorite character. One day I'd like to make a prop for him, or definitely include a lot of him in a ride if I did Alice in Wonderland. Actually, I just made a hat shop last week, and while it's not necessarily Mad Hatter, it could be if he was Steampunk Mad Hatter. If you're interested in a steampunk hat shop that is 1x1, stay tuned to this channel and it should be up by next week. I had to make sure to choose fairly small windows for this house as it did keep shrinking. And I needed them to be proportionate to the open window in the front that I had to show Alice's face. I didn't want that window to be particularly big on a small house, so like I said, just trying to make everything proportionate. I did spend quite a bit of time making sure that pink trim was on point and natural to the house. To make the eyes move, I actually used the cameraman who's moving the camera back and forth. You'll see the camera woman kind of there on the side. She doesn't move the camera as much as the guy does, so those are different animations that Frontiers put in. So I use the guy and I make sure to trigger it. There's a sequencer for it, so that they go at the same time. So when you place it in your park, it should move at the same time. If it doesn't, just restart your park and it'll be fine. When I initially started this project, the idea was that I would use the temple statue pieces to make Alice herself. By this point, you can see that I've inserted the temple statue arms as her arms. They're kind of holding up the roof or just kind of sticking out awkwardly. At this point, I'm trying to figure out what other materials I could use to help create Alice. I tried some basic shapes for the dress. It's too shiny, it didn't really match the textures that I was going for. So I did end up using all temple pieces except for her shoes. And I feel like I struggled with her shoes, but that's okay, they're fine. Off camera, I played around with special effects. I thought it would be cool to have the shattering glass coming out of the windows where her arms are, the kind of exploding cardboard or wood effect where her legs come out, and overall just have it really animated. But in the end, after I did all of that, it really took away from the simplicity of this prop. And it took away from the one special effect that I thought would be the best one, which is the eyes shifting back and forth. So I ended up taking all of those out. As I said earlier, this isn't for any other project I have going on. I am not creating an Alice in Wonderland themed ride or anything. It's just something to have on my workshop. If you'll go through my workshop, you'll see I have a lot of random things. There's no one theme. I jump around a lot. I like to play with different ideas, different themes, original or otherwise. And that's how I get the most enjoyment out of Planet Coaster as a creator. At this point, we're pretty much done, but around her legs, there's nothing there, and it didn't look quite right to me. In the movie, when she's growing and her legs are pushing out of the house, they're kind of digging into the ground, digging up his carrot garden, and pushing out and breaking a lot of his furniture. So in order to represent this, I put down a lot of dirt and wood chunks and just kind of scraps. A lot of carrots as well. It already looks like her heels are kind of digging into the ground, so I thought the addition of all this dirt and rubble was effective. Well, it looks like we are almost finished here. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I hope you liked the creation. It should be on the Steam Workshop, and there should be a link below. Well, don't forget to let me know what you think about it in the comments below. And I'll see you in the next one. Bye now!